Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Yo Nityamachyutabadam Bhujigmarugma Vyamohatastaditarani Trinayamene Asmad Guroho Bhagavato Siddhaika Sindhoho Ramanujasya Charanau Sharanam Prapadhye Yasya Smarana Matrena Dvaitavasana Pramachyate Bodhatmakaya Namastasmai Bhagavate Shri Ramana Maharshaye Hridakashe Sadabhantam Shantam Anandarupinam Jnanabhanmaham Vande Sadgurum Shri Satyasayinam Mamantaryaminam Satchidananda Swarupam Hridyastiti Sada Bhati Priyam Nikila Nigamartha Saram Yasya Sura Munijana Vandya Padabjadvandvam Bhakta Chitta Bhiramam Yatta Prasarati Parimala Prema Pravaham Tameva Mama Sarvam Viharati Prashanti Nilaye Sakshat Brahmatattvam Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nandagopa Kumaraya Shri Govindaya Namo Namaha Sarvatra Govindanama Sankirtanam Whatever efforts we put in towards attaining the highest spiritual goal, at one point in time, those very efforts themselves will become a stumbling block. With great determination, we will start and we will follow certain routines, certain sadhanas, certain methods and methodologies. They will seem to work. They will bring great satisfaction, peace, and we will feel as though we are making progress. We will feel as though our temper has come under control. We are not ruffled by the things that are happening and so on and so forth. And we will attribute all of that to certain actions that we are doing. Oh, I get up at 5 o'clock, I meditate for 45 minutes, I do pranayama for 30 minutes, I do this for that minutes jump. So we will start religiously adhering to all of those routines, thinking that it is those routines that are bringing us this shanti. And after some time, as we are enjoying it subtly without our knowledge, a sense of satisfaction will begin to creep in at the amount of effort we are putting in. Not bad. Today, I meditated 2 seconds more than yesterday. Yesterday, I meditated exactly for 0 seconds. I made great progress, 200% progress. Slowly, without our knowledge, a sense of satisfaction will creep in. Satisfaction is good, isn't it? Contentment or satisfaction is what you are aiming, nitya triptaha. But this is satisfaction based on action. Satisfaction. Satisfaction, if it is based on action, then when the action is not done or cannot be done, then satisfaction also will not be there. This is human tendency because we are so firmly believing in cause and effect that for every effect we will immediately attribute a cause, rightly or wrongly, and then we will stick to that cause as the main reason why we are having this effect. But in Adhyatma Sadhana, actions that you do, the external environment, none of those things are really the key. What is the key? Something inside is happening, that is the main key. Once it so happened, I used to live in a place called Sunbury in those days, in Melbourne. Sunbury is about 45 minutes from city, and I was working. So the time when I was working, and the train, the V-line train used to take us about 45 minutes, very comfortable. You get nice comfortable seats. And so in the morning I got into the train, I had a big book with me. Not Bhagavatam, Upanishad and all. It was a novel. Some fantasy novel. Can't remember the name. I was reading it and I took that big book with me and I was sitting and started to read. The train had just pulled out of the station. There were vineyards that will come soon after that. We were crossing those vineyards. I was casually reading this book, some word in that book. I can't remember what. It is nothing to do with spirituality as we understand it. I read that word and that is all I knew. I was lost in samadhi. Bliss, overpowering bliss just arose and I was simply lost in it. And the train sped through stations, nothing. I wasn't aware of anything. Nearly about half an hour or so, I slowly came to and read. The book was still open on my lap. But it has nothing to do with God, nothing to do with anything. But something inside was in a state, in a certain equilibrium. It reached that equilibrium, it went into samadhi. What caused it? If I say japa, dhyana, no japa was going on, no dhyana was going on. I was reading a novel. So now if you suddenly decide, Anna said, you will read novels and get samadhi. You will fall asleep. Samadhi won't come. Because this is just exactly what I just said. No action is what is going to lead you to that. Something else is involved here. You may be expert in doing those so-called spiritual actions, but even then you can't get any better than Bharata. Yeah, you can't get greater than Bharata, who would be able to immerse himself in the icy cold waters of Chakra Nadi and lose body consciousness and remain in the state of samadhi for hours together. This is yoga-induced samadhi. Yoga-induced samadhi is temporary. Jnana-induced samadhi is permanent. Jnana-induced samadhi is what the jnani is at all times. He never goes in and comes out of it. Yoga-induced samadhis are the ones that you go in and come out. There what happens, the mind becomes one with something, stays in that state, and then when it comes out, it is the end of that samadhi. But a jnani, it is not like that. He is always aware that there is no mind from what going in and coming out. The yoga-induced samadhi in the end could not help Bharata because his mind, that force with which he was fixing on to one thing, the same force transferred itself to the deer. And deer became constant meditation. Brahmavid brahmeva bhavati, deer with deereva bhavati. He became the deer only in the end. But Bhagavan says, Neha Vikrama Nashosti Pratyavayo na Vidyate. In the Bhagavad Gita, he says one thing, Nahi Kalyanakrit Durgatim Tata Gaschati. The one who's doing some effort, but doesn't matter what effort, some effort in the name of the truth, the name of God, in the name of spirituality, you take and do some effort. You might be totally, utterly misguided, does not matter, but if you do it, it will somehow come and help you. And that is what we see in Bharata's story also. Even though he was born as a deer, he was able to remember his past mistake and made sure that he did not commit it again. He lived around, he did not associate himself with the other deer. He lived alone, in solitude, in the environs of Pulahashrama, and when the time came, he gave up that deer body in the waters of that river and was reborn as a son of a Brahmana in Kanyakubja, country of Kanyakubjale. He was born as a son of a Brahmana. This Brahmana had two wives. His eldest wife had a few sons. The second wife had twins, this boy and another girl. He was a well-versed scholar, Vedic scholar, this Brahmana. And he had all these sons. All the other sons, the three elder sons, were all equally proficient. They learnt the Vedas as he had learned them and became experts. The next level line Pandits they became. And this youngest son, who is none other than our Bharata, or our dear, we do not know what to call him now. Bharata became dear, dear became this boy. As an only, he should be dear only. A dear boy. Was very dear to the father also, because he was born in the later ages of this father. As an only, he was Chellam avark. But despite his best efforts, this boy could not behave properly. He behaved in what in today's terms we would probably call autism. Today we will call it autism, and they say autism is a big spectrum. My firm belief is all jnanis are autists. Autistic. In other ways, you can't attain jnana. You have to be wired differently. If you are normal, forget it. You've got to be a bit abnormal. Then you will see all these things. Then in today's terms, he will be called mentally challenged or one of those things. No matter what he is taught, he will not pay attention. Or what, and he'll be sitting in his own world. He was sitting. Like our Prahalada was sitting, he was sitting. At least Prahalada would dance, laugh. This fellow did not even do that much. So the belief was, generally there is a belief in all Brahmin families. Once you do the Upanayana and initiate the child into Gayatri, everything will become all right. Then the man said, okay, when the right age came, he initiated the boy into the Gayatri mantra. Partha, he could not even learn the Gayatri mantra. If you learn Gayatri, everything else will become easy. Gayatri is really, no matter what he tried, this fellow could not even chant the Gayatri properly. This was, we know, the father did not know, but we are watching the story from the sidelines. So we know that this is none other than Bharata, who was born as a deer. This fellow should be capable, he should be learning everything like this, and he is not learning anything. Behaving as though he is a unmatta jada, like a madman or like an inert, dumb child he is behaving. The father was greatly aggrieved by this. No matter what he tried, he could not educate this child. He thought, what will happen to this boy? I don't know. After I am dead and gone, what will happen to him? Worry came to him. So he called his 3 elder sons and said, Parpa, we know your brother is like this. I am entrusting you in him into your care. Look after him after I am gone. And actually he went. His age came, he passed away. In grief, he passed away. My son is like this in a poeta. The 3 brothers, what did they do? They looked after their younger brother proper. But they have to give some job to him. He can't be sitting there. They sent him to the field. They had a lot of farms and fields. They said, you simply sit there. If any birds come, chase them away. Basically, they used him as a human scarecrow. They said, you don't need to do anything. Just stay there. If looking at you, birds may fly away. And if you ask him to even scare the birds away, he will not do it. He will not know which arm he will be sitting. Then he will come home in the evening, he will eat, sleep, go back. Bhagavatam says he was not a well-rounded person. Gunda exercise pannathane. Shuma ukandinde irunda. Nammada mari ashami. One day, as he was sitting in the field as usual, doing nothing, he was sitting and not even scaring crows. Some forest dwellers, tribals, came across this man. They looked at him and they said, hey, this is the person we are looking for. Our patient. They spoke among themselves. And they said, wait, we will grab him. Don't alert him. You go this way. I will go this way. You come from behind. We will pounce on him. We will catch him so that he doesn't escape. Little they know, even if they came directly, he will not escape. He will keep sitting there. They did all of that and they caught hold of him and they took him somewhere. He walked along with them. We just went with them. To him it was the same wherever he was sitting. To see, they had taken him to the forest because their tribal leader, the leader of all of those tribals, he had no sons. And so he was also worried that he had no issues. So he went and consulted his own local tribal witch doctor, Madri Irpare. He asked, he said, look, if you want a son, if you are Dasharatha, then you have to do Putraka Meshti Yagya, eat payasam. If you are not Dasharatha, if you are a tribal leader, then your tribal guru will say, you find a human and you offer him as a sacrifice, Narabali, a human sacrifice to Mother Kali. And instead of payasam, drink his blood, maybe you give the blood to your wife, maybe you will have children. And the details of Bhagavatam doesn't say. Now we can sort of extrapolate. Now we've seen Ramayana. We know what Dasharatha did. இவருக்கு எவ்வளோ வைப்ஸ் எல்லாம் தெரியாது, பாதி இவருக்கு பாதி அவளுக்கு, இதை மிக்ஸ் பண்ணி அவளுக்குன்னு என்ன கொடுத்தாரோ தெரியாது, அது என்ன பிளட் குரூப்போலாம் தெரியாது நமக்கு. So he said, do a narabali and then Kali will be pleased and she will bless you so that you can have a son. So they were looking for somebody to give away in sacrifice to Kali. அதுக்கு how should this person be அப்படின்னா நோஞ்சானாலாம் இருக்கப்படாது. ஏன்னா காளி கொடுக்கணும், நன்னா இருக்கணும் இல்லையா? If you want to eat a fruit, what kind of fruit you look for? You go to the supermarket, every fruit is without any blemish, round, nice, full, beautiful shape. Konjam apdi irundha kuda we take it and leave it aside. So they wanted to offer this man like a fruit to Kali. So how should he be? He should be perfect, flawless. So they were looking around for a flawless person. They found this fellow. Nanna irukam, nice and fat. Kali would have a mouthful. Adanal serinu solli they brought this man. He came along. They bathed him ritually. He sat there and got his abhishekam done. They anointed him, dressed him up, he got himself dressed up. They put a garland around his neck, took the garland also. They fed him sumptuously, final meal. Nanna chapter, he ate that also happily. He didn't go asking for food, food came, he ate it. Then they led him into the shrine in front of the huge statue of Bhadrakali. Our fierce aspect, Ugra Kali, Kali is standing there with all the weapons, tongue lolling out and the statue is there. Adila, they brought him there, they did all their pujas, chanted all their different mantras, and then the time came and they put this Bharata, this boy, the Bhagavatam refers to him as Brahmana, Vipra. This Brahmana doesn't give his name. We are giving the name Jada Bharata to him. He is Bharata, but he was like a Jada. Jada na inert. Though inert Bharata na pair. Actually, we should have called him inert deer, because deer was his last birth. I don't know why we skipped the last birth and went to Bharata. Anyway. They decided to put him on the chopping block and bring the knife down. The tribal guru lifted up that knife to bring it down, and even as if they were bringing it down, not a sign of agitation on the face of this Bharata. He is also watching. It's not like he's totally intellectually dumb. He knows what is happening. He knows that they are going to chop his head off, but he's just sitting there like that. It didn't matter to him anymore. All the time he was so careful, he did not even learn the Gayatri because he did not want to make the same mistake that he had earlier made. He did not want to get into anything. Having realized the truth that he does not want to do anything to think, oh, I'll do this and secure that. And even Gayatri he refused to learn because he was guarding himself. Identifying himself with the self, not the body, with the Atma, not with the body. So even when they were going to chop his head off, he didn't bother. He just sat. But although he did not bother, Kali could not keep quiet. So Kali emerged from that statue. She caught hold of the blade that these people were using to chop him. Instead, seizing that blade, she chopped off the heads of all those tribal people that were there and saved Jadabharata. And then after doing that, she vanished. She danced a dance and she vanished. Jadabharata, he is watching everything. He did not so much as say thank you to Kali. Kali came and saved him. He did not bother. I didn't ask you. You came. You wanted to do something. You came. Why should I thank you? What is it to me? What is it to me? Even grace. Oh, you gave grace to me. If I am there, then the grace is applicable to me and therefore I should thank you. It's raining. Are we going to say thank you, rain? Did you ask for it to rain? It came, it rained. The clouds rained. Are you going to say thank you to the cloud? Like that he was. You wanted to do something, you did it. Witness. Kali went away. After that, after Sunday, he saw nobody was there, so he got up and started walking. He was walking. After walking some time, he went and sat down under a tree. At that time, there was a king called Rahugana. He was the king of the Sindhu Sauvira Desha. This king was going to meet with Kapila Deva. We saw Kapila's story the other day. He was going to go and fall at the feet of Kapila and learn the truth from him. And the Ashavoda he had set out on a journey. Sadhaka King Pao. And he was being carried on a palanquin. with 4 palanquin bearers and guards and so on. Everybody was going when suddenly one of the palanquin bearers fell ill. So they were one shot now. Palanquin, how can you go with only 3 people? Adanala, they were on the lookout for a palanquin bearer. These people were searching here and there when they found this man sitting under a tree. Partha, he looks as though he is capable of lifting a palanquin. They caught hold of him and brought him, dragged him. He came along. Hey, come, king wants you. No, he didn't say anything, he just came. So they made him take position. He lifted up the one stick of the palanquin, one side, and they started to walk. The king said, oh, have you found somebody? Good, let us continue on our journey. I want to go and see Kapila Mahadeva. Initially, he got him. Oh, the journey started. As they were going along, suddenly this Jadabharata, who did not even bother when those people were about to cut his neck off, as he was walking, he saw a row of ants on the road. But in order to not step on those ants, what he did was he jumped to save the ants. Compassion. He did not want to do anything to the ants, so he jumped. Ants were okay. Ants were very thankful. Obba, we were saved. Ants are okay, but what about the king sitting inside the palanquin? You are carrying a palanquin and one fellow is jumping. Now, what will happen to the king? You can imagine what will happen to him. That fellow, stabilized himself. His crown was going one way. I think, "Oi, what are you guys doing? Can't you walk properly?" He yelled from there. They all said, "Maharaja, not us. This new fellow is doing all this." And a new fellow, what is wrong with you? Carry properly. No response. They continued. Another row of ants came. Another jump. He had enough. He said, "Who? What? Again?" They said, "Again is the new fellow only." So the king leaned out and looked at the new fellow and said, "Why? Old man, looks like you are emaciated. You are so thin. You are so emaciated. No wonder you are finding it so hard to lift the palanquin." Sarcastica, he made a comment. "One more such misdemeanor and I will punish you. Don't you know who I am? I am the king. I will kill you." Now. Up until now, our Jadabharata had been keeping quiet. For some reason, now compassion came into his heart. But the king said all of these things. If it was an ordinary king, he would not have done that. This king was going in search of Kapila Deva in order to attain the truth. Already sadhana tendencies are there in him. Sadhaka vasanas are there in him. Adanala, because of that, Jadabharata looks at him and says, he called him, you're so old, you're so emaciated, you're so thin. Looking at him, he said, "You said I'm thin, I'm emaciated, I'm fatigued. None of those things apply to me. None of those things apply to me. All of that is only applicable to this body that you're talking about. To the self, nothing is applicable." "Who are you going to kill?" he asked. "Who are you going to kill? Are you going to kill the body that is already dead? Or are you going to kill the immortal soul that I am? The Atma that I am, or are you going to kill the already dead inert body?" You said, "I am thin and old, but I am neither old nor young, neither thin nor stout. When I am without name, without form, without attributes, when I am the eternal spirit, of what avail are your threats to me? Hunger, thirst, fear, anger, fatigue, strength, these things do not pertain to me. You wish to punish me. Why have you regarded me very well so far that now you are going to punish me? In your arrogance as a king, you utter all these words, but do you not realize that your kingship is just about as temporary as your own body is? Children, what are you? What is this body that you are calling about? This body, our children. Amse didarvi shibika chayasyam sauvira rajye tyapadesha aste yasmin bhavan ruda nija bimano rajasmi sindushvati dhurmadandaha. You're sitting there on top of this palanquin thinking, "I am the great king of Sindhu Sauvira Desha." The palanquin is made of wood. On top of it is the person who is sitting there. It is also nothing but a lump of clay. Your body is nothing but a lump of clay. Adula you are thinking that you are identifying yourself with that lump of clay, and on top of that you are identifying the lump of clay with the king of Sindhu Sauvira Desha. You are identifying yourself with merely a lump of clay, and that then you are identifying with as the king of Sindhu Sauvira Desha. How foolish. Up until now he had not said anything. We do not know whether these were the first words he even uttered in this Janma. He had kept quiet most of the time. But to this king, he gives this answer. The moment the king heard this, he was shocked. He leapt down from the palanquin, fell at the feet of Jarabharata and said, please forgive me, I have committed a grave sin. Alas, how can a king like me commit a sin like this? What is the hope of redemption for me? I was going to Kapiladeva. Who are you? Are you perhaps Kapila himself? Are you Dattatreya perhaps? He started to say, what a sin I have committed, what a crime I have committed. Or Pathar, you speak as though you are a wise man, but you are a total idiot. You are still identifying yourself with this body, you are still identifying yourself with this king and saying, I committed this, I committed that. Understand that you are not this body mind at all. When the mind is involved, there are 12 aspects here. The 5 karmendriyas, the 5 jnanendriyas, mama and aham, together these 12. I and mine. With the 5, this is you, this is what you are thinking you are right now. You think that you are this thing that has been made up of these 5 karmendriyas, 5 jnanendriyas. 5 karmendriyas, the organs of action, hands, legs, mouth, the organs of excretion and reproduction. These are the karmendriyas, organs with which actions are performed. The jnanendriyas are the organs by which information is gathered, the eyes, the ears, the nose, those senses, the 5 sense organs. We speak in Vedanta not merely of 5 sense organs, we speak of 10 sense organs. 5 organs of action, 5 organs of perception. But what is ruling all of these? The sense of I and mine, ahankara, mamakara, together 12. And then we identify ourselves, the pure Chaitanyamana Atma, we are identifying with this, and whatever is being experienced by this conglomeration, we take it to be our own experience. Whatever is done by this combination, we take it to be done by us. And that is ajnana, that is ignorance. This truth is explained by Bharata, Jadabharata to Rahugana. Bhagavatam in the truth now. We've already mentioned it before. Dehabhimanam aral ter, Ramana Bhagavan says, what is jnana, what is called as moksha, what is called as jnana, adukella or periya list kudukarar Bhagavan. Dhanam, Tavam Velvi, Dharmam, Yogam Bhakti, Vanam, Porul Shanti, Vaimai Arul, Monanilai, Sakhamar Shavu, Arivu, Shar Thuravu, Veed Inbam, Dehanma Bhavam, Aral Ter. Dhanam, Tavam Velvi, giving in charity, tapas, yajna, dharma, yoga, bhakti, moksha, shanti, the truth, grace, the state of silence, the state of deathlessness, immortality, intelligence, that awareness, jnana, sannyasa, liberation, all of these are, what are these? Dehanma bhavam aral ter. Know all of these things to be simply getting rid of this bodily identification that we have. I am this body, I am this person. Body, don't merely take it to be the physical body. That is why we spoke about karmendriya, jnanendriya, ahankara, mamakara, ella cherundu pottu. Mind. intellect, the sense of I, this person, the sense of mine, all of it put together is what we are constantly identifying ourselves with. This is what we are considering and calling as the body. And we are saying, this is who I am. Further from that, then we are adding all of the other appellations to it, just as Jadabharata says here. He says, you are identifying yourself with a lump of clay, and then you identify that lump of clay with the king of Sindhu Savira. That is how we are also living our lives. If that jnana should come, if that moksha should come, what is necessary for that? The destruction of this identity is absolutely necessary before we can even touch that fringes of jnana. Dehatma bhavam pona adha jnanam nu artham. Once a discussion was going on radio side about atheism and so on and so forth. But one of the boys who was with Swami was hearing this discussion, and then he had a doubt and he asked Swami the question. He said, Swami, can atheists attain liberation? Can those who do not believe in God attain liberation? Bhagavan immediately said, why not? If Dehatma Bhava goes, anybody can attain liberation. If this Dehatma Buddhi, if this Dehatma Bhava, if this I am the body identification goes away, anybody can attain Mukti, because that state itself is Mukti. And the state of the Mukti, the state itself is Mukti. But how to get rid of this Dehatma Bhava? Adukum Cholrar, he himself says, Jnanam Vishuddham Paramarthamekam Anantaram Tu Bahir Brahma Satyam Pratyak Prashantam Bhagavat Shabda Samyam Yad Vasudevam Kavayo Vadanti. Jnanam Vishuddham, that supreme uncontaminated jnana. Uncontaminated abdina, no body mind concepts involved there, no thinking jnana illa. Paramarthamekam, this is the Paramartham, the real reason for life itself, attaining this. One it is, without any multiplicities there. Anantaram tu abahihi, there is no inner, exterior, etc. for it. Brahma Satyam, it is the absolute truth called Brahman. Pratyak Prashantam, it is direct, visible, and it is pure Shanti. Bhagavat Shabda Sanyam, it is also called Bhagavan. Yad Vasudevam Kavayo Vadanti, it is also called Vasudeva. Understanding this truth, understanding, attaining this Vasudeva, this Bhagavan who is present as the Atma. Here two things are there. One, you identify yourself with the Atma. Two, you recognize that Atma to be that Bhagavan, that Vasudeva, that Paramatma. What has Rahugana done, as pointed out by Jadabharata and all of us have done? We have identified ourselves with that lump of earth, and then we have identified the lump of clay with so and so, such and such an identity. What should be done? Identify ourselves with the Atma and identify that Atma as the same as Paramatma. This is complete jnana. Purnamana jnana. Otherwise, I am one Atman. I am not the body mind. I am some light inside. I will go traveling here and there. You will still be restricted. You will still be a limited individual. I am Jyoti. Then you will be afraid somebody will come and smother the Jyoti. I am that Atma, and that Atma is not different to the Paramatma. What is there? There is only one. Multiplicity is not here. There is only one. Father alone is nothing else, nobody else. Brahman alone is nothing else, nobody else. Adanala sarvam brahmamayam da. Everything is brahmamayam. That everythingness irkolyo. When you identify yourself with that everythingness, that everything of, the sense of everything, that's complete jnana. Otherwise, you are only identifying yourself with one thing, not everything. Another Vyashti, Samashti, Parameshti, Swami Cheluvara. Vyashti, Samashti, Parameshti. Vyashti, individual, Samashti, all, Parameshti, God. Aham Brahmasmi, அப்படின்னு உபனிஷத்துல ஒரு மகாவாக்கியம் is there. I am the Brahman அப்படின்னு. Sarvam Khaluvidam Brahman இன்னொரு வாக்கியம் இருக்கு. Everything is Brahman அப்படின்னு. So I am Brahman, which is what all this is. Otherwise, what will happen if you do not go and complete this thing? What will happen? Abdina, once I was asked this question, and I have never become tired of sharing this question. Somebody, this went for a satsang somewhere, and they had given questions before this session. People had written questions and put it in front of me. So I picked up one of those questions. And the question was, I have realized I am God. Now how to convince my wife that I am God? I am Brahman. As Swami says, I know I am Brahman. But my wife doesn't know it. That's the problem. You are Brahman. You are Brahman. What is your wife? Adum Brahman dane. Adum Brahman dane. You matraman Brahman. Do you have monopoly on being Brahman? Anna? If you are Brahman, everything else also is Brahman. Sarvam Brahmamayam. Everything is Brahman. Sarvam Brahmamayam. Sarvam Brahmamayam. Sarvam Brahmamayam. Re Re. Sarvam Brahmamayam. Kim Vachaniyam. Kim Vachaniyam. Kim Vachaniyam. Kim Vachaniyam. Kim Rachaniyam. Kim Rachaniyam. Kim Rachaniyam. Kim Rachaniyam. Sarvam Brahmamayam. Re Re. Sarvam Brahmamayam. Kim Pataniyam. Kim Pataniyam. Kim Pataniyam. Kim Pataniyam. Kim Pataniyam. Kim Bhajaniyam. Kim Bhajaniyam. Kim Bhajaniyam. Kim Bhajaniyam. Sarvam Brahmamayam. Re Re. Sarvam Brahmamayam. Kim Bodhaniyam. Kim Bodhaniyam. Kim Bhoktavyam. Kim Bhoktavyam. Sarvatra Sadaham Sadhyanam. Sarvatra Sadaham Sadhyanam. Sarvatra Sadaham Sadhyanam. Kartavyam Bho Mukti Nidhanam. Kartavyam Bho Mukti Nidhanam. Sarvam Brahmamayam. Re Re. Sarvam Brahmamayam. Re Re. Sarvam Brahmamayam. Sarvam Brahmamayam. Everything is Brahma. Kim Vachaniyam, what is to be said, what is not to be said, what is to be read, what is not to be read, what is to be sung, what is not to be sung, what is to be worshipped, what is not to be worshipped, what is to be taught, what is not to be taught, what is to be eaten and enjoyed, what is there to not be enjoyed. Sarvam Brahmamayam. Everything is only Brahman. Whatever it is you're doing, you're not doing, you're seeing, you're not seeing, you're enjoying, you're not enjoying, everything is Brahman. Apo, what should we be doing? Sarvatra sada hamsa dhyanam. Sarvatra sada hamsa dhyanam. Hamsa dhyanam na enna arthamna soham. Soham endru kolliyo. Saha aham. I am he. Sarvatra sada hamsa dhyanam. That alone should be the kartavyam bho mukti nidhanam. That is the only thing that will lead you to mukti, to be eternally aware that you are him. There is no difference between you and him. Sarvam brahmamayam. Ellam brahmaswarupam. Father alone is nothing else, nobody else. Sittiramum, Parpanum, Sherpadamum, Athanayum, Tanam Avan. When Uncle Arthur was sitting with Swami, Swami looked at him and said, others? What others? There are no others. Everybody has to come to the same thing. They say, there is only one. Until we come to that realization that there is only one, we will not be able to attain mukti, moksha, jnana. How to? How to? That's a problem. How to attain it now? Rahuguna says, Jadabharata says to Rahuguna, Rahuganai tat tapasa nayati nachejya nirvana nirvapanad grihadva न छंदसा नैव जलाग्नि सूर्यै विना महत्पाद रजोभिषेकात्. You cannot attain this by Rahugana, you cannot attain this by doing tapasya, by doing any great vratha, not by worshipping deities in certain way, nor by performing yajnas, yagas, etc., nor by accepting sannyasa and running away from the home, nor by learning the Vedas, nor by worshipping the Agni, Vayu, Varuna, etc., or doing austerities, standing in the middle of water and under the sun and so on. He has done all those things, Bharata. What will help Abdinna? Vina mahatpada rajobhishekam. Without letting the dust of the feet of those holy ones fall upon our heads, we cannot attain it. Without their grace, we cannot attain it. Prahlada said the same thing. Now here Jadabharata is saying the same thing. Without that grace of the Mahatmas, Mahapurushas, those who have attained the truth, it is not possible to attain this state. Narada in his Bhakti Sutra says, Bhakti, although I am talking about Bhakti, he says, it is not easy for everybody to attain it. Prakashati kvapi patre. Once in a while, here and there, in a rare individual who is a fit recipient, Bhakti will shine in their hearts. How did they get it? Mukyatastu mahat kripayaiva. Mukyatastu mahat kripayaiva, mainly because they were recipients of the grace of Mahatmas. Bhagavad Kripa Leshadva, or a small trickling little bit of Bhagavad Kripa, which will then take the form of the Mahatma, who will then give that grace, and it is the seed that they put into us that then flourishes and becomes Bhakti. Ava panalena mudiyadu, ava piche bodalena mudiyadu. If they do not throw that seed into our hearts, where will we get that Bhakti from? Adanala, it is only the grace of this Mahatmas. Yatrottama shloka gunanuvadaha prastuyate gramya kata vighataha nishevya manonudinam mumukshoho Matissatim yachati vasudeve. In the company of these holy ones, what is the most significant feature of the company of these holy ones? There is only Uttama shloka gunanuvadaha. There is only talk about the glories of God, the truth in their presence. Prastuyate gramya katha vighataha. Gramya kathas are never spoken about. Gramya katha, worldly affairs are never discussed in Mahatmas by them. They will not discuss worldly affairs with you. You also should not discuss worldly affairs with them. Otherwise you will be wasting the opportunity. They are not experts in solving worldly troubles. For that you have to find the experts in those things. இவா எதில் எக்ஸ்பர்ட் அப்படின்னா, they are experts in telling you that the whole world is false. If you go to them and ask solutions for your false problems, what will they do? How can they solve the problems for you? People used to tell Ramana Bhagavan, there is no point telling you our troubles because you don't even recognize those troubles. You say, who's find out who's having, is there really trouble? In their presence, worldly talk is not going on. என்ன இருக்குன்னா உத்தம ஸ்லோக குணானுவாதஹா, only talk about Bhagavan, the Supreme Lord, His gunas, His glories, His truth, His tattva alone is being discussed in their presence, where there is no chance for us to even fall into worldly gossip. That is the nature of Mahatmas, Mahapurushas. Adanala go and seek them. Mumukshubhihi, if you are serious in getting rid of your material entanglement in this world, if you are serious in getting moksha, mumukshu, now one who is serious about getting moksha. If you are a serious mumukshu, then what should you do, Abdiyanna? Go and seek them. Nishevyamano anudinam, day by day go there and spend time with them. Apo, what will happen? Mati satim yachati vasudeve. Then your mind will turn towards Bhagavan, to turn towards the Atma. Otherwise, it will not. Then he himself introduces his own story. He says, here's the first time he speaks about it. He says, Aham Pura Bharato Nama Raja Vimukta Drishta Shruta Sangabandaha Aradhanam Bhagavata Ihamano Mrugo Bhavam Mrigasanga Sangat Artana. I was called Bharata, was a king in the previous Janma, and I left everything and I went to do tapas, but I got attached to a deer because of my own prarabdha karma. But luckily, because of my sadhana, I was able to Krishnarchana Prabhava, because I used to worship the Lord. Because of that, this jnana, the memory returned to me that I had committed this blunder. Therefore, in this Atam Ato Aham Janasangat Asango Vishankamano Vivritas-charami. Therefore, in order to be doubly careful, I am not indulging myself even a little bit in human company. I am moving around in obscurity, in solitude. Don't want to make the same mistake. Adanala, you also, enna pannanum nee appadina, tasmat naraha, O king, everybody in fact, what should they do appadina? Asanga susanga jata jnana sinehaiva vivrikna mohaha. Take this sword. What is the sword? Na susangam abdingra sword. Asanga susanga jata jnana sinehaiva vivrikna mohaha. He says, take the sword that you get in the company of holy ones. Jnanam gara khadgam. Take the sword that you get, which is only available there. You can only buy it in those companies. Anga bhai vaangkyo. And with that, you cut asunder all this illusion, that identification with the body. The illusion ingaye cut pan. Destroy it. Harim tadiha katana shrutabhyam labda smriti yati atiparam advanaha. And then, after cutting all illusion, now meditate upon the Lord, sing His glories, and when your memory of who you are returns to you, go home. Return home. Don't wander about here. He gives the instruction to Rahugana. It can all be summarized into not the body. The 12 vrittis are only vrittis, only thought processes of the mind. 5 senses of perception, 5 senses of action. The I and the mind, these are not who we are. We should not identify ourselves with this. Identify yourself with the Atma, Atma with the Paramatma. How to get all of that? Go and seek the company of the holy ones, the wise ones, in whose presence your mind will never go back into the worldly affairs. Vakata vandutana adan danger. Bhagavatatike adan danger. Usually I used to give this warning in those days. I have forgotten. During Mahatmyam, when we do Bhagavata Mahatmyam, I used to issue a statutory warning. Come at your own risk. Because once you come to Bhagavatam and listen to Bhagavatam, your life will change, your outlook will change. After that, the things that you are interested in will not be so interesting anymore. Only Bhagavan will seem interesting. That is the power of the presence of holy ones in the Madhuri text. So when you go and spend time in this kind of company, then naturally your mind also will turn towards it, want to seek that alone. You will see, you will see the state in which they are. You will say, oh, I also wanted to shulva. It's simple. If somebody yawns, you also feel like yawning. If somebody is in samadhi, you also feel like being in samadhi. Another Rahugana gives his instruction and he says, realize your truth and be who you are. Abide as who you are. This story of Jadabharata comes to a conclusion and teaches us again a very holy lesson. Enna lesson? No matter how much sadhana you do, that also becomes an identity for you. And as long as you don't give up that identity, you will keep transferring it from one to the other. Kadashila, when he becomes in this incarnation as Jadabharata, he refuses to identify himself with anything. He refuses to identify himself with Brahmana, Amanyani, unnume kadayadu. Shama alakshalingama irukku. He is safeguarding, securing himself as though. He says, oh, I have great doubts, Vishankamana, I have doubts. If I let go a little bit, I will get caught. Vandave vandamba. Behind the better. The burnt child dreads the fire in Gramadri. So that was the story of Rahugana and Jadabharata. Rahugana fell at the feet of Jadabharata and attained a high state and went back to his kingdom. The Kadamudiyar story finishes off like that. Some people say that Rahugana was none other than the deer, because Bharata the king thought about the deer and passed away and was born as a deer. The deer thought about Bharata and he was born as a king. It grew an affection with Bharata. When the deer was dying, I left that man and came. He was so nice to me, he looked after me, and it was born as the king. After that old connection came back again. And so this time he didn't want to get caught, instead he gave jnana and he walked away. Jadabharata's story is told in Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, a story that spans 3 births. One story spanning 3 births are Arhana Katha. After listening to all these stories, Parikshit naturally has a doubt. And Parikshit says, "Romba dangerous irke, Swami. Where is hope for us? This person was able to attain such a high state of meditation and so on. In spite of it, everything went for a toss. What is the hope for us? We commit a mistake, we commit a sin. Even if we do some kind of prayaschittam for it. Prayaschitana, repentance, etc. Parikshit says all those prayaschittam in my mind is like Kunjara Shauchavat. It is like the elephant's bath. Elephant's bath. Kunjara Shauchavat. Kvachin nivartate abadrat kvachit charati tatpunaha. Prayaschittam ato apartham manye kunjara shauchavat. The elephant goes into the water and has a nice long bath in it. When it comes out, what does it do? It will take all the dust and throw it upon his head. You've seen the elephant when it comes out of the water, it will shine like polished granite. It will come like that. I had an occasion in Sri Lanka when we saw several elephants marching into the water and coming out. Line na varum Bharata jolikkam like black granite mountains they were. Then what did they do now? Bush became grey once again. The manakittu poi kulipane edukku na. Kulishtu vandu mana thalayila mannalli potukkuradhu yana than thalayila mannalli potukkura maadhiri nu solluva. Kunjara sauchavathuங்கறான். அவன் சொல்றான் இது என்ன பிரயோஜனம்? The mind slipping and going away is so easy. Even Bharata was able to get distracted by a deer. What is the hope for all of us? Rishabhadeva's son Allah Cholutu Kadashila, he slipped like this. Slip it is so easy. Is there any hope for us? Hope again, plenty of hope is there. Hope is also there, but hope is there even more. Enna hope to tell him that all of us have hope, he narrates a story. Shuka narrates another story. In a story, there was a person called Ajamila. Ajamila, and there was a man. Now this man was born in a very virtuous Brahmin family, very high class family, good family. He was married to a very beautiful and dedicated, devoted, virtuous wife. But one day he happened to go somewhere, and in the forest he met this very enchanting woman. He forgot about his family, he forgot about his wife, forgot everybody, and went behind her. And went and started living with her. He stayed, spent all his time with her, spent all his money for her, he did everything for her. He abandoned his family, parents, wife, only lived with her. Lived a life of sin, had many children by her, and rest of his life was only spent in keeping that family happy, looking after that family. But he became old. In his old age, he had his last son, and because of his old vasanas, he had given a name to the child, Narayana, and he had given a name to the child. The name of the child was Narayana. And he was inordinately fond of this Narayana, very affectionate. He would keep calling Narayana, 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 Narayana. Then, the due course of time, one day as he was lying down, he was become a bit ill, and he was lying down. Suddenly he saw 4 mighty beings, frightening beings, come there. They all came there and said, "We are Yamadutas. We are the messengers of Yama. We have come here to take you. Your lifespan has come to an end. We are taking you back to Yamaloka to be judged for all your crimes." On seeing that, he was terrified. The first thought came, the thought of his child came. Narayana! He called. The moment he called Narayana, and on his deathbed, 4 effulgent beings arrived in that place. In the 4 terrifying beings are there, 4 effulgent beings arrived in that place. Avapartha, they said, "We are Vishnu Dutas. We are messengers of Lord Vishnu. We have come to take you to Vaikuntha." Iva Shonna, we will take you to Yamaloka. Ava Shonna, we will take you to Vaikuntha. Ival Gandabala Shanda Durta, Ajamala sitting and watching. These people began to fight. Hey, we came first. So what? First come, first serve doesn't apply here. We are taking him to Vaikuntha. On what basis are you going to take him to Vaikuntha? Here is the charge sheet of his life. He is accused of all these crimes. He did all these. Avashana, we don't need to see all of that. I'll show you one more. Last, right at the end, one entry was there. He said Narayana. That is enough. We are taking him to Vaikuntha. So then these fellows, they were also legal experts. You can't join Yama's ranks without knowing some law. And the law tangles, so Yama had educated them properly. So they said, there is a loophole. He said Narayana, but he didn't refer to your Lord Narayana, he referred to his son Narayana. If he had called out to your Lord Narayana, then you can carry and take him and go. But he did not refer to that Narayana, he referred to this Narayana. These Vishnu Parshadas said, you do not know your law properly. That Narayana, this Narayana does not matter. Our Swami Narayana is identifying himself with that Narayana name wherever, whenever it is said. Since he called out the name Narayana, does not matter who he referred to, the very name Narayana is enough for us to take him to Vaikuntha. These fellows were not convinced. Yamadutas were not convinced, but what to do? Sometimes, might is right. These Vishnu Dutas were so much more powerful, they said, we can't challenge these fellows, we better leave him. We'll go to Yamadharma Raja, go back to Yamaloka and present this entire problem in front of our Lord. He will find a solution. If necessary, he will establish a link with Vaikuntham and sort it out. Diplomatic channels, we are only bureaucrats. We are only carrying out our duties. Let them deal with it. It's above our pay grade. So they went away. When they went away, these Vishnu Dutas also went away. They didn't take this fellow. They also went away. Ajamila saw the whole thing, and he came to, and he didn't realize, he could not tell whether it was merely a dream or whether it was a reality. Apdi oru trance state, he was delirious state, he saw all this. The fellow who was dying came back to life. He had an emergency, he's come back, heart attack, sometimes it happens, people see some light, near death experience. Then others say that it is because, enough oxygen has not gone to the brain, so brain starts to produce its own scenes. He saw this, but one good thing came out of it. He understood that I led a life of sin if once on my deathbed I called out the name Narayana, even without referring to Lord Narayana, even then if I have a chance to be saved, if I dedicate my life to Narayana, what will happen to me? Abdini he understood. Since he had been given a second lease of life, he immediately left his home and everything, went to Haridwar, settled down there and spent his entire life. What did he do, Abdinna? Nama bhajo, Hari Nama bhajo, Nama bhajo, Hari Nama bhajo, Narayana, Hari Narayana, Nama bhajo, Hari Nama bhajo, Narayana, Hari Narayana. Nanda Ananda Mukunda Hare, Nanda Ananda Mukunda Hare, Vrindavana Sai Baba Hare, Vrindavana Sai Baba Hare, Baba Hare, Sai Baba Hare, Baba Hare, Sai Baba Hare, Baba Hare, Sai Baba Hare, Vrindavana Sai Baba Hare. Naam bhajo, Hari Naam bhajo. Abdini spent his time in Harinama Sankirtanam. How should Bhagavan Nama be called, Abdinna? There is so much ananda in calling out the name. If you are able to utter the name without any emotion, very plainly, Abdinna, you are missing out on so much. The name is a treasure house of Ananda Rasam. The great nectar of Ananda is present in that name. So when you chant that name, when you call out the name of the Lord with all of that Anandam, you should be able to chant it. Whatever name it might be. You should know how to draw out the delight that is there in the name. Otherwise, Namasmarana will be a very dry chore. சும்மா ஒரே நேம் சொல்லிகிட்டே இருந்தால் எப்படி இருக்கும்? It will be boring to simply chant the same name. If you don't know how to extract the rasam from the name, it will be boring. But if you know how to extract it, there is nothing greater than chanting the name. Even once if you chant that name, it is enough. Even once if you chant that name, but chant it extracting that ananda rasam from it. Say it in such a way that your entire being is filled with joy. Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa would say, if when you utter the name Hari, tears come into your eyes, hair stands on its ends, voice is choked. Such a man has attained the purpose of his life. Even Sandhya drops from him. Even the Sandhya Vandanam is no more necessary for him. All if he is able to say the name Hari and is transported into the throes of bhakti. That is how the name should be chanted. Chumma edo nanu harinamam chonnenu sollappadadu. The story is not merely his mental hallucination, as we find out, because the story continues. The Yamadutas go back to Yamadharma Raja, to their king Yama, and say, this is what happened. This is what happened, Rabdini Chalna. We went to bring back the sinful Ajamila of Kanyakubja. According to our schedule, his life was to end today. And when we went there, we were stopped by these four illustrious Vishnu Dutas. This man somehow managed to chant the name of Narayana, and therefore those Vishnu Dutas claimed him for their own master. We had to come back empty-handed. How is this fair? You have got to go find justice. As soon as he heard the name Narayana, Yama stood up with salutation. He stood up and he said, you have made a mistake. You should not have gone near the man who uttered the word Narayana. I should have trained you properly. Naam banaddan tap. Yenna sakrida piyena Murari samarcha kriyate tasya yamena na charcha bhaja govindam bhaja govindam govindam bhaja mudamate. If the name Murari, Govinda, Hari, Narayana, Sai, if the name is chanted, Yama will not bother such people. Yama will take only those who are to be judged by him. Those who have chanted this name cannot be judged by anybody. They go straight to their Lord. Ajamila story is told to us. Yama himself says, everybody is held accountable to me, I myself am accountable to Bhagavan, the Lord. Adanal, he is the supreme. He has created this world. He has created the rules in this world. He can change whatever rules he wants to. His rules are the only rules that hold sway. And so he has declared that anybody who calls out his sacred name, especially at that last moment of life, Antyakaladalli chintiso hage narayana Ninna namada smaranaya saramritam yenna naligege barali. Let that sweetness of chanting your name Narayana come to my tongue. He is singing here. Adanala, to think about him, to remember him, is the point of life, is the goal of life. Otherwise, we will be born again and again. Adukku, to get rid of this repeated cycle of birth, only one way to get out of it, easy way to get out of it, call out his name. Don't simply chant the name. Call out his name. Call to him with love. Call to him with great affection. Call to him from the bottom of your heart, from the depths of your being. Appo, Bhagavan will respond. Why? If I call out to one of you, will you not answer? Why do you have your name? Why has a name been given to you? So that when others call you, you will turn around. Even the little child does that. The little baby that is there, when I call out the baby's name, he turns and looks. All these little children do, all of the adults do, everybody does. That is why we have a name. Bhagavan also has a name only for this purpose. Otherwise, who are his parents to give names to him? Our parents give names to us. Bhagavan, who are parents? No parents. Names are there. Why names? Who is to identify him? He alone is who. Why identify him now? His names are not his identifiers. On the other hand, his names are that which emancipate us. Adanala, he has got so many names. Namani Anantasya. Ananta Namangal, Bhagavan has got so many names. Why so many names? Now, each person has a different taste. Each person likes one name. Adanala Bhagavan has so many names. Even the same person may want to have a bit of a variety. We don't eat the same food every day. We change. Adanala Bhagavan said, I will have so many names. You pick and choose whatever you want. Breakfast in the name. Inniki breakfast this name. Inniki lunch this name. Inniki dinner this name. Tomorrow's breakfast some other name. Each name you have. Enjoy banne. Oru name for starters, oru name for mains, oru name for dessert nu vechiko. Anandama Bhagavan has given so many names for us to call out, to enjoy all of those names. We have to utilize it. Bhagavan has got, he himself has got all these names. Nobody gave these names to him. Why should he adorn himself with so many names? Bhagavan has done it for us. For our sake, he has got so many names. Should we not utilize those names? Appo, unak enna name pidikkiradho? Jo naam chaho, wo naam bolo. But prem se bolo, bhav se bolo, Govinda bolo, Gopal bolo. Whatever name you want, you call Govinda, Gopala, Allah, Mola, whatever you call. But prem se bolo, bhav se bolo, call out with love, call out with the depth of feeling. You will feel happy when you do it. You will attain something by calling his name out like that. And Ajamila's story teaches us. But yeah, after Ajamila's story comes another beautiful story. The story of Vritrasura. In the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, there is something very unique. We find that Asuras are the most devoted to Bhagavan. They are more devoted to Bhagavan than normal people also. Sometimes. Yenna. Prahlada was an Asura. Vritrasura was an Asura. Adutade we are going to have Mahabali Chakravarti, Avanam Asuranda. Avada Bhakti, Amogha Bhakti. Extraordinary Bhakti. Vritrasura's story is told to us. Our introduction, how does it come up? Aidam problem. As usual, it starts with the problem of ego, problem of I. Who here was the I problem? I for Indra, Indra was the problem this time. Indra, the god of Devas. The ruler of all the gods who are the ruler of men. Each god is the ruler of men. The gods go ruler now, a ruler. So one day he was sitting in his court in Indraloka when some cultural program was going on, some music, dance, etc. were going on. Cultural program. Apsaras will be dancing, Gandharvas will be singing, Vidyadharas will be playing instruments. Indra was watching all other kaila or drink where drinking once in a while, watching everything. Great thing was going on. Already schedule was announced today 5:30 music program. So all the devas were already come by 5:15, everybody was seated. And therefore at 5:30 music program started. Or 5:40, 5:45 everybody was immersed in enjoying the music program. Brihaspati. Who is Brihaspati? Our Brihaspati Pavam. He was Deva Guru. The Guru of all the Devas. Or Purohitar Madri. He would do all their officiate for all their religious ceremonies and so on. Avara Nikeda Sandhyanam Nadi Earth Pavam. Atla and Mami and Shandayo 3. Adala Muduchutu Sandhyanam Hanutu, Kalambi Varthakula. It was a bit late. So about 5:45 he entered into the Indra Sabha. Music program was going on. Upon normally when Brihaspati would come, Indra would also get up to welcome him. Vango, Karungo, please sit down. Program was also going. Indra was a bit annoyed. 5:15, I have announced to everybody for be here at 5:15. This fellow is coming so late, middle of the program. Anyway, let him come and sit down. Doesn't matter. He didn't get up. He sat down and enjoyed the program. Brihaspati who came in, although he was late, but he's got a sthanam. Even if he was late, he's Guru. Seeing that Indra did not even bother to get up, Brihaspati said, why should I stay in a place where I am not respected? He walked out. As he came in, he walked out. Indra, who had slighted Brihaspati, when he saw Brihaspati walk out, immediately he felt contrite. I have committed a mistake. So he stopped the program, ran behind Brihaspati. Brihaspati had gone already. And he could not find him. No matter where he searched, he could not find Brihaspati. He did not want to be seen. He went and hid himself. Indra was very upset. And my mistake, my ego, but still, this fellow also should have behaved properly. What to do? Anyway, I have to find another person in this place. Otherwise, all the puja gijalan nindubadu. I love to do puja. I'm a problem. What is the problem? He had appointed this fellow to do all his pujas on his behalf. If this fellow is not there, he has to do the puja. All my enjoyment will get stopped. And immediately I have to find a pujari. And he was searching for a pujari here and there. He went around everywhere. He looked at a lot of applications. None of them seemed all right. Somebody, a headhunter, a recruitment agent, he found out one person. There is a fellow called Vishwarupa, Twashta's son. It's also called Trishirasya, 3 heads. 3 heads he had. With one head he will drink somarasam. With the other head he will have surapanam. Third head he will eat rice. Exclusive taste. He didn't want to mix up. But we have only one tongue. We use the same tongue to eat food also. We drink juice also. We taste it. He had 3 heads. Somapanathu or head, Surapanathu or head, Annathu or head. Trishirasana. He was identified as the appropriate pujari for them. So Indra went and said, "Why? I am recruiting you. You please come. These are your terms. Good salary, good perks, fringe benefits. A lot of fringe benefits when you go to Indra Lokano. More than the normal fringe benefits are more. And there are more tax exemption. I don't understand this FBT business, but it was all given to him. Those of you understand it. Come up and said, get settled in Indra Loka. Indra went there thinking that, I'm granting a great favor on this fellow, he will immediately pack his bags and come with us. Bharata, avar sonnar, Vishwarupa said, okay, find somebody else. I don't want to come. I'm happy here. Indra looked around, you're living in this hut. What can you be happy living in a hut? Come, I will give a palace to you. Even if you give me a palace, I'm happy to be here freely. I'm independent here. I don't have to answer to anybody. I'm happy. What little bit I have to eat is enough for me. I have 3 heads. I'll share it between the heads. But I will still not come to Indraloka. Indra was taken aback. He never expected somebody to refuse his offer. He said, hey, listen, I'm actually not asking you. I'm commanding you. You better come. I'm Indra, for crying out loud. You have to listen to me. Come. Besides, your father is also one of the devas. I'm like an uncle to you. You better come. Come. No option. Vishwarupa said what to do. You might compel banna. Forcibly he was recruited. He went to Indraloka. He started doing some puja gicha. Ana, the Vishwarupa, his father was Tvashta. Tvashta was a deva. But his mother was a woman from the Daitya clan. The Daityas and the Devas were enemies. The gods and the demons, Deva Asura. His mother was from the Asura clan. And the Kalathila, after Prahalada and all, no? They wanted to bring some friendship between Deva and Asura, cultural exchange programs. They took a bride from the Asura family and married to the Deva so that, Samarasam. A period of peace comes immediately, all kinds of, then the peace will break and then fights will happen. These poor fellows who are here will get caught in the middle. So, this Vishwarupa, what he did was, whenever he offered all these ahutis for devas, he will also offer a little bit for his mother's side. Tata koncham neduthuchiruvan. Indha tata koncham, andha tata koncham. He used to offer some for the asuras also. The Deva Indra was not happy with this. He suspected it. But one day he carefully observed and he found secretly this fellow was offering some offerings to the enemies. He became very angry. He did not ask any questions. He did not put him up for trial, nothing. He immediately chopped off all his heads. Chopped off Vishwarupa's heads. Tvashta became angry. Tvashta became really angry. He said, my one son I had, even though he had 3 heads, he was my son still. I loved him and he was living a happy life. Indra came there, forcibly took him and then without even questioning him properly, killed him. I will have my revenge. He knew a lot of things, so he performed a big yajna. And in that yajna, what he wanted to do was, he wanted to produce a being that would be the enemy of Indra. Indra Shatru. The killer of Indra. He wanted to bring a being like that. In the anger, no, he was doing his yajna. Because of that anger, his pronunciation changed. Vedic mantras are very, very risky business. Even the slightest change in the pronunciation or the inflection changes the meaning of the mantra itself. So, instead of bringing forth Indra's killer, he brought out the one who will be killed by Indra. Indra's killer, the one to be killed by Indra, come out. The mantra changed, a being came out. A being came out. And he covered the entire sky. So he was given the name Vritra. Because he was an Asura, he was called Vritrasura. Vritra, one who avritam panni kodiyavan. He came out. Tvashta looked at him and said, you have to avenge your elder brother. Go and kill Indra. Tvashta did not realize his mistake, but Vritrasura who came realized the mistake. He said, my father has produced me, but instead of making me win over Indra, he has produced me in such a way to be killed by Indra. What to do? All right, let us go with the flow. He went to fight Indra. He started fighting with Indra, and he fought so ferociously that Indra started to tremble. Indra began to tremble. Seeing that, Indra could not do anything, he ran to Bhagavan and prayed to him. He prayed to Bhagavan, Yo Bhagavan, kill this Vritrasura. How did he pray? Bhagavata, Om Namaste Astu Bhagavan. Narayana Vasudeva Adipurusha Mahapurusha Mahanubhava Paramamangala Paramakalyan Paramakarunika Kevala Jagadadhara Lokaikanatha Sarveshwara Lakshminatha Paramahamsa Parivrajakaihi Paramena Atma Yoga Samadhina Paribhavita Parisputa Paramahamsya Dharmenodgatita Tamakapada Dwara Chitte Apavrita Atmaloke Swayam Upalabdha Nija Sukhanubhavo Bhavan Tribhuvanatma Bhavana Trivikramatrinayana Triloka Manoharanubhava Tavaiva Vibhutayo Ditija Danujadayaschapi tesham upakrama samayoyam iti swatma mayaya sura nara mriga mishrita jala chara kritibihi yata paradham dandam dandadaradartha evam yenam abhi bhagavan jahi twashtram utayadi manyase. But he went to Bhagavan. He prayed to Bhagavan in so many words and finally he said, kill Twashtra for us. Kill Vritrasura for us. The Bhayala Kul. I'm not able to fight with him. He's too strong. Bhagavan kill him. Bhagavan, Channaram, Bhagavan said to Indra, my devotees are those, this is how Bhagavan says, I am very pleased with the prayers of my devotees always. Prayer he did a big prayer. Bhagavan said, I am always pleased when my devotees sing my glories. But you know who are my devotees? My devotees are those who seek nothing from me, only to serve me and love me. What do you want? Leave that be. What do you want? See how clearly Bhagavan is saying. He comes with this great, he praises Bhagavan and then puts his prayer, kill this fellow for me. Bhagavan says, I am always pleased by the prayers of my devotees. My devotees are those who seek nothing from me. They only want to serve me, to love me. But leave that be. What do you want? For what does it mean? Even then this fellow did not understand it. The Maya of the Lord is so difficult to overcome because his Ahankara, Mamakara is so strong. Indra said, you have to kill this fellow. He is so hard. He is very powerful. Bhagavan said, look, he has not done anything wrong. I can't kill him. The only thing that can kill him is tapashakti. You do one thing, you do tapas. You will be able to kill him now. Tapasa. Tapas than theriyu namak. Tapas alan theriyadu. We can't do tapas. Then Bhagavan said, in that case, you do one thing. Somebody else who has done tapas, you can take their help. Who is like that? Maharshi Dadichi is there. He has done so much tapasya that all his tapashakti is there present in his backbone. If you ask him for his backbone, you can fashion a weapon out of his backbone and use that to kill Vritrasura. Indra said, thank you so much. Abhada, I found a solution. Straight he went to Dadichi Maharshi. What is he going to ask from Dadichi Maharshi? Dadichi Maharshi, please give some stick from your house. Give your backbone to me. Can a person live without the backbone? So in effect, what is he asking? You die, I don't care, but let me have your backbone so I can make a weapon and kill Vritrasura so that I can be safe. Why is Vritrasura attacking him? Because of his crime of killing Vishwarupa. Why is Vishwarupa there in the first place? Because of his insulting Brihaspati. So who is the root cause of all of this? Indra. But for that, what does he want to do? He is happy to even let Dadichi Maharshi die. Then he went straight to Dadichi Maharshi. We've come from Vaikuntham. Bhagavan said that you have to give your backbone to me. That's support. Your backbone is our support. Whether it is your support or not, it will support us. I'll give your backbone. Dadichi Maharshi thought about it and he said, body is temporary. One day or the other it has to go. Perhaps the time for this body to be dropped has come. That is why Bhagavan himself has sent these people here. If this body can be of use to somebody, let it be so. If this is Bhagavan's will, let it be so. With his tapas shakti, he sat down and left the body. Gave up the body. Indra then took the bones and fashioned an instrument with it, a weapon called Vajrayudha from it, the thunderbolt. He comes there to fight with Vritrasura with it. When he comes and challenges Vritrasura and starts to fight with Vritrasura, even with all of that, he is not able to fight. Even with this weapon, Vritra is even more powerful, still he is getting defeated. Chuma oru addi potanna Vritra, Indra's elephant is flying into the distance. Indra became scared. Indra was hesitating to fight. Appa Vritra looked at him and said, hey, why are you hesitating? Come fight. Come fight. I have come here knowing that I am going to be killed by you. I am not hesitating. Why are you hesitating? Why are you scared? Come fight. Stop being a coward. I am an Asura, armed and ready to fight with you, and you are hesitating. Where was this hesitation, this doubt when you shamelessly killed my brother? He was unarmed, yet you killed him without any hesitation. If I kill you, then I have fulfilled the command of my father. If you kill me, then I will find a release from this useless body and I will go to the Lord. Another fight. Don't think about profit and loss, victory and defeat in this war. It is not applicable to us. We are not the bodies, we are the self. We are the Atma. Our duty is to fight here. Let us fight. Appadinu Upadesham chalran. Vedanta Upadesham. Eppadi chalran, even how is Vritra saying all of this? Vritra noda bhavam eppadi irukku vartha. What is Vritra's bhava? In Asura he is, and he has got so much love for Bhagavan in his heart. What does he want to be in Chalran? I will only be a dasa to you, Bhagavan. His bhava is Meera's bhava. मैं हरि चरणन की दासी. हम चल मैं हरि चरणन की दासी. I am merely the servant of Hari. Aham hare tava पादैकमूल दासानुदासो भवितास्मि भूया मनस्मरेत् अशुपते गुणांस्ते गृणीत वाक्कर्म करोतु कायः. Vritrasura stands there in the battlefield and says, Bhagavana Pata Chalran, Pranapate Praneshwara. Savariya Mohaniya Nagariya Ao Piya. Savariya Mohaniya Nagariya Ao Priya. Ab aao आओ 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 जी. अब आओ 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 जी. मैं हरि चरणन की दासी. எப்போ जन्म जन्म की दासी. Birth after birth, I am your servant. What do I want now? Hey Pranapate, hey Praneshwara, hey Pranasakha, hey Pranapriya, hey Prananatha. O Lord of my life, O my beloved. Aham hare tava padaikamola dasanudasa bhavitosmi bhuyaha. Bhagavane, let me once again become your servant of 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 your servant. Bhritya bhritya tadbhritya bhritya bhrityasya bhritya. Your servant, 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 let me be. And I don't want anything else from this world, from this life. Let my mind always think about you. Manasmaret Ashupate. Ashupate na Pranapate na. O Lord of my life, let my mind always think about you. Let my mind always dwell upon you. Let my speech always glorify your attributes. Let my body be always engaged in service to you. தூமலர் தூவித்தொழுது வாயினார் பாடி மனதினால் சிந்திக்க போய பழையும் பகுதருமான் என்றனவும் தீயினிர் தூசாகும் செப்பேலோர் எம்பாவாய் அப்படின்னு ஆண்டாள் சொன்ன மாதிரி. Let the body be involved in serving you. Let the words be involved in praising you. Let the mind be involved in thinking about you. Let this be my life. Even though he is an asura, he is saying. And why is he praying to the Lord in this manner? Now, Indra also went and prayed to the Lord for a particular purpose. And now why is Vritrasura praying now? Nanaka prishtam na chaparameshtyam na sarvabhaumam na rasadhipatyam na yoga siddhihi apunarbhavam va samanjasatva virahya kankshe. Bhagavane, I am not coming to you, I am not adoring you, praying you, hoping that you will give something to me. I don't care for anything. Nanaka prishtam, I don't want heavens. Nacha parameshtyam, I don't want to become a Brahma. Na sarvabhaumam, I don't want any emperorship, lordship over the world. Na rasadhipatyam, nor do I want to become the lord of the demons in Rasatala. Na yoga siddhihi, I don't want any siddhis, yoga, etc. Apunarbhavam va, I do not even care for rebirth or not being born again. What do I want? No, I want to be with you. All I want is to be with you. If separation from you can grant me all of these things, then I will throw all of these things away. I want only you. Samanjasava virahya kankshen, even the state of not being reborn will not appeal to me if it means separation from you. All I seek is to always be with you, to be able to always love you. Anna, what is my state? Abdina? Ajata paksha iva mataram kagaha stanyam yata vatsatara kshudartaha priyam priyeva vyushitam vishanna mano arvindaksha didrikshate tvam. My plight is like, he compares himself to three things. My plight is like that of a bird whose wings have not yet developed. The mother bird has gone in search of food. In the nest, the little fledgling is there. The fledgling cannot fly. It does not have wings yet to fly, but it is looking, waiting for the mother to come. It cannot fly to its mother. It cannot go and join its mother. And it is simply sitting here waiting for the mother to come back. And the Madhuri, my wings are not developed. I do not have the capacity in me to come and reach you. You have to come to me. I am waiting for you to come to me. Abdini is saying. Stanyam yata vatsatarakshudartaha. I am like a calf that has been tied up, separated from its mother, but I am hungry. The cowherd takes the calf and ties it up away from the cow so that he can milk the cow and get the milk. Although the calf wants to go and join the mother because it is hungry, it has to stand at a distance, it is tied up by the rope. The bird, the fledgling bird, could not fly because it had no wings. Here, the calf, if it is left free, it can run to its mother. It has the capacity to run, but it has been tied up in bondage. Priyam priyeva vyushitam vishanna. I am like a devoted wife yearning to rejoin her husband. I have the capacity to come. Nobody is holding me back, but at the same time, I do not want to disturb you until you have finished your work. And when you will return to me, until then I have to wait for you. Moon examples. One, there is no capacity. Second, the capacity is there, but there is an obstruction. Third, there is no capacity. The capacity is also there. There are no obstructions also, but still patiently waiting until your grace falls upon me without making any demands upon you. And the Madhurya, I am waiting here. My mind is waiting here to see you. When will you come to me? Aavo Prabhu, aavo. When will you come to me? Anna, I know that if I have to be with you, I don't have to worship you, I don't have to entreat you. I have another method, a shortcut I have. In a shortcut, Mama uttama shloka janeshu sakyam samsara chakre brahmatasva karma bihi tvanmayaya atmatmaja darageheshu asakta chittasya nanata bhuyat. I am wandering about in this world because I am caught up in the idea that I am this body, I am the doer. The ignorance that has caught up with me is why I am roaming around in this world. And as I am roaming around in this world, I have accumulated more possessions, this body, this wife, this children, this house, அப்படின்னு இப்படியே போயிட்டு இருக்கே ஆசக்த சித்தம். Anna, if all of that should leave me and go away, if jnana has to come to me, only one thing can make it happen. Mama uttama shloka janeshu sakhyam. Friendship with your people. Uttama shloka janaha, your people. Those who are yours. Those whom you consider yours. Those who consider you alone as their everything. Uttama shloka janaha na his people in artham. God's people. Who are God's people? Those whom God has chosen for himself are God's people. Who are those people that he has chosen? Those who have chosen him for themselves are God's people. When you choose him alone above everything else, when he alone matters to you more than anything else, then you become God's people. He calls you his own. This is our fellow. Avada uttama shloka janaha. Avaroda sakhyam erpatti kuduthudai, make develop friendship with them. Enna அன்பர் பணி செய்ய என்னை ஆளாக்கி விட்டு விட்டால் இன்ப நிலை தானே வந்தெய்தும் பராபரமே. தாயுமானவர் சுவாமி sings in a song. அன்பர் பணி செய்ய என்னை ஆளாக்கி விட்டு விட்டால், if you but give me the opportunity to be with your devotees, then இன்ப நிலை தானே வந்தெய்தும் பராபரமே, then the state of bliss will come to me automatically. I don't have to work for the state of bliss. I don't have to do any dhyana, tapas, japa, etc. for it. All I have got to do is serve your people. If I serve your people, if I remain devoted to your devotees, then will it not automatically come to me? Adanala, what do I want? Let me be a servant of the servant of the servant of the servant of yours. I don't even have the capacity to directly be your servant. I can't say I will be your servant. Adukku or qualification vanume. How to gain the qualification to become directly your servant now? If I serve your servant, then konja konjama promotion will come to me. But one day I will become your servant. Now what happens with Bhagavan? Bhagavan gets constantly rolling. You will never find the same people around Bhagavan. If you go to Parthi also, you will find the same thing. And then differently. Why? Bhagavan is there. Bhagavan's close servant will be there. Abdiye body servant madri, close servant will be there. He will be Bhagavan's servant for how long? Only for a short period of time. After that, he cannot be a servant anymore. Why? Will Bhagavan send him out now? No, he will attain Bhagavan's state. He will become Bhagavan. Bhagavan kuda irundana na brahma with brahma bhavati, he will become Bhagavan. He will become one with Bhagavan. Appo he cannot be servant anymore. Avanu gnani aiduvan. Appo enna anna? The next fellow, next in line irpanallo, the servant's servant will be there. That fellow will be promoted to Bhagavan's servant. இப்படிதான் பகவானோட ப்ராசஸ் நடக்கும் அங்கே. Bhagavan's parshadas, Bhagavan's servants, those who are immediately answering to Bhagavan, around him all the time. After some time they will become him. But they also have been appointed servants under them. They are closely with Bhagavan. எப்படி இருக்கும் நினைச்சு பாருங்க. The situation is like this. Bhagavan is sitting in his room, in his chair, and at by Bhagavan's side, one servant will be sitting. Bhagavan will say, hey, bring me this, give me a glass of water, give me my handkerchief. That fellow will give everything. Hey, where's my handkerchief? That fellow will hand everything over. But suppose Bhagavan says, hey, from the other room, get me that document. This fellow, if he leaves Bhagavan and goes to the other room, who will look after Bhagavan in the meantime? Suppose at that time Bhagavan wants water, who will give? Adanala, there will be one fellow standing at the door. This fellow will go to him and say, get that document from that room. So that fellow will go running and bring it to him. He will bring the document and give it to Bhagavan. And he can't leave Bhagavan's presence. Adukku solra sevaka, britya, parsha, there are gradations of servants. All these are terms that are used in Sanskrit to mean servant. Dasa, britya, parshada, அப்படிலாம் சொல்றோம். And they are all not exact synonyms. Each one represents one grade. Now, suppose Bhagavan wants something from the shop. This fellow has to stay in the room. That fellow has to stay in the house. One fellow has to go to the shop. Adukku or order. He go to the shop and bring it to me. If everybody goes away, who will be there here? Adanal ipdi or gradation, or hierarchy vechundirpa. Now what happens? This first fellow will attain sayujyam, become one with Bhagavan. That fellow at the door will come and sit here. The one who is going to the shop will come and sit at the door. The progression keeps on happening. Quick turnover Bhagavan gata. Knowing that Vritrasura says, I can't immediately come and say, I will sit next to you. I don't have the right to do that. Nor can I say, I will stay at the door. I don't have the right to do that. Perhaps I can go to the shop, but if there's already one fellow going to the shop, then I will fetch the bags when he goes to the shop. I'll become that person. Dasa anudasa. I become your dasas nu solra. Appo one by one slowly I will get. As long as I remain in this company, the president the secret service la irukum. Avalukku apdi dhaan irukum. US president secret service iruppa illaya. Avarku apdi dhaan gradation. Two people will always be with him. Innu rendu per vandu and the motor car oda pova. Innu rendu per they will already be in the location where he is going, the premises where he is going. Ava solra eagle has flown appdimba inga irundhu. You kalambarache eagle has left the nest appdimba. Ana eagle da avanukku peru. Jetayu potrukama. The eagle is flown appdinu. The eagle is landing. They'll have all those things. Levels. All secret service, but different gradations. If you do well, then you can be promoted and one day you can also be next to POTUS. Like that, Vritrasura says, let me be at that far corner. But as long as I am with your devotees, I know that one day I will also be able to transcend this Maya. Because in their company, they will only speak about you. Even if I have some desire, they will forcibly prevent that desire from coming to me. You are the company that you keep. Suppose you are with only like-minded people. Ellam bhaktas. Hey, what are you doing this Sunday? Oh, we are all going to Anna's house. What are you doing? I was actually planning to go to the movies. We are all going to Anna's house. Now this fellow will feel ashamed. I am the only fellow going for Anna's house. Where is that fellow? He has gone to movies now. How can I show my face? No, I better come. Now what will happen? Actually, fellow wants to go to movies, but he is shamed into coming to satsangam. He is shamed into coming into satsangam. Whatever reason you come, ultimately you are the one that is going to be saved. Because you are not going to do Anna a favor by coming to the satsangam, or some people say, sorry, we couldn't come to satsangam. Yanakenthu sorry? Why are you sorry? It is your misfortune you couldn't come. Why are you? It is not my misfortune. I am attending satsangam. Yanakenthu sorry? Rather than apologizing for not coming, come. Instead of calling me and saying, I cannot come to satsang, sorry, you attend the satsang. That is better off for you, not for me. Anna, when you are in this company, you can't go astray. You can't go astray because they will all look at you. Chichi, you are going, Abdimba. They won't let you be. WhatsApp liye dhaan illa. Where are you going? Chi, aren't you ashamed? Why are you going there? When Anna is here, why are you going? After that fellow has no other option. Okay, I'll also come. Practically, these things happen. I'm seeing these things happen, that is why I'm saying it. But what has happened? Even if your mind wants to stray or wander, the others will help you by making sure that you don't. Your weaknesses, which may lead you away, they will be there to support you and say, no, don't worry, come, we are all there. This is how it saves us. This is how satsangam saves us. This is how this good company saves us. Otherwise, we will all go away. We'll go away and become nothing. If one person is there good, he can inspire you and you can continue to stay in that same circle. Vritrasura says, Bhagavane, all I ask from you, I am praying so much to you, willing to even be the servant of your servant of your servant of your servant and so on, only for one reason, give me the company of your devotees so that I will never stray away from you. Appadinu sonna. Appo he got ready and he fought this war, but he also knew that it was time for him to finish off his life. So what he did was, he took a huge form, came and swallowed Indra, gobbled Indra up and sat down. Indra from inside, Indra was still alive. Indra went inside, a huge cavernous body. Indra went inside and still finding himself alive, he started cutting open Vritra's body with his thunderbolt to come out. So in the end, Bhagavan did not give the in Vajrayuddha to kill Vritrasura, it was to escape from Vritra's body. Vritrasura sat down in yoga samadhi, he thought about the Lord, merged with the Lord. Apram, what was left for Indra to kill? Only the body he finally cut open and came out. Vritrasura was, can we say, defeated? Vritrasura joined the Lord. On the other hand, Indra, for having killed both Vritra and Vishwarupa, the Brahmahati dosha came into him. He could not even go and enjoy the throne of Indra's throne. Instead, he had to go and hide inside the stem of a lotus because his own sins were burning him up. The sin of killing Vritrasura was torturing Indra. Indra did all of this to regain his throne, to establish himself on his throne. In the end, he lost his throne and had to go and hide somewhere because the sin of killing a devotee of the Lord was torturing him, was burning him up. He had to do tapasya ultimately to get out of it. That's a separate story goes. Very unique story, Vritrasura story. He was an asura by birth, produced by the mantras of this rishi. He came there, short life, but brilliant life. He came there, he sung only 4 lines in praises of the Lord, attained the Lord and showed so much bhakti. But Parikshit says, how is this possible for an asura to have so much jnanam, so much knowledge, so much bhakti in now? Shri Shuka says he has a past life. I will tell you his story in a chapter. There was a king called Chitraketu. This Chitraketu had many wives, no children. Most kings had some reproductive issues. Ordinary people without any problems give birth to children. Kings are very hard to kill. The king he was wanting a child, but he was a very spiritual fellow also. Very nalla fellow, spiritual fellow he was. One day, a rishi called Angiras went to see this king because he thought this king was sort of spiritually evolved. He was the right candidate to be given some spiritual instruction. The rishi went to see the king. But when the king saw the rishi like our Atma Deva, he looked at the rishi and said, "Oh, you have come, give me a child." The rishi thought this fellow, although he is ready and ripe for receiving instruction, still he has got a particular dosha called distraction in his mind. Anyabhiniveshanam or dosham irukku. His mind is preoccupied with this one thing, this one sorrow is still in him. I don't have a child, I don't have a child. Otherwise, he is ready and fit for spiritual instructions. But if I now give Upadesha to him, he will not listen to it with wholehearted attention. Part of his mind will still be child. So I have to first finish off that vasana in him. Then I can give instruction. So he said, okay, I will give you a blessing. You will have a child who will bring both joy and sorrow to you. A unique cryptic blessing he gave and went away. King only heard the first part, I will have a child. Oh, enough, I will have a child. He will bring joy and sorrow and all, he deleted from his mind. So in due course of time, one of his many wives gave birth to a son. The king became so happy that he finally had a son. He spent all the time with this baby and in the quarters of this queen who became his most favored one. On seeing that, all the other queens became jealous. We don't have a child. She alone has a child. Now she is important. What they all did, they gave poison to that child and killed the child. Imagine how the situation is. Fellow did not have any children for a long time. Finally, child came. All the others became jealous and gave poison and killed the child. Great sorrow came to that entire palace. King was crying, that queen was crying, everybody is crying. This child came and went, alas. Angirasa, the rishi, came along. Again, this time he came with Narada. Both of them came. Narada has to be the hero of every. Narada also came. And then, when these two rishis came, immediately fell at their feet. Some two Mahatmas have come. Please, my son died. Save him. Bring him back to life. He asked in this manner. Angirasa said, you've forgotten. Don't you recognize me? Don't you know who I am? I'm the one who gave you the boon of the sun. "Ah, you gave the son, now bring him back." And he said, "I told you at that time itself, he will bring both joy and sorrow to you. He brought joy when he was born, he gave sorrow when he went." This is life. This is how life is. No, please bring him back, otherwise I will not have any peace. The rishi said, "All right, we will bring back the jiva of your son." So they summoned the jivatma of the son, the jiva, the spirit of this boy came. He came and stood there. And then they asked him, "Why? Look, here's your father, here's your mother. They are all crying. Why did you leave this body and come back to this body?" Then he said, "What mother, what father? Who's my mother, who's my father? I have had so many births. In so many births, I have had so many fathers and so many mothers. If I keep going back to every father and every mother, what will happen to me? I have no father, no mother. I am independent. My karma with them finished. I have nothing more to do with them. If they want to cry, that is their job, not mine." And it went away. When the king heard this, an awakening came into him. Who is mine? Who belongs to me? I am saying this is my child, but I forgot the fact that this is an independent entity. It is an independent jiva. Leah, see, we all believe that there is rebirth happening. We were all somebody in our past life. If you were somebody in your past life, your child also was somebody in their past life, isn't it? What was your child in your past life? You yourself don't know. Maybe your child was your grandmother. Leah, you don't know, Leah. How do you know? For a child to be born, it has to give up a body there and then be born here, Leah. Some people say, "I don't have a child, I don't have a child." Whoever is to be born is still living. What do you want? Go and kill that person so that they can be born to you? That person has to lead their life, fulfill their life, die a natural death, then they'll be born to you. Suppose, a couple get married. Years pass by, they don't have any children. So everybody is saying, "Oh, child, when are you going to have a child?" But the problem is, the old grandmother is living in that house. She is the one who is destined to be born as the child for these two. She is still alive. Until that lady kicks the bucket, they cannot have a child. She has to be recycled. இல்லையா? அது ரீசைக்கிள் பின்ல போட்டு இங்கே வரணும். அது உட்காந்துருக்கே குதுகலா. என்ன பண்ண சொல்கிறாள்? கழுத்தை வச்சு கொலை சொல்கிறாளான்னா? Can you kill the party so that you can have பேத்தி? என்ன பாட்டி தான் பேத்தி ஆகணும். பாட்டியை அவனை அழிச்சு 4 பேர் பண்ணலாம் பாளே, அந்த மாதிரி. See, we don't think on these lines. We think this is a fresh being that has just come. Illa. This has a history. When you realize that your child is not really your child, you are looking only at the body, mind, it's a small child under my care, it does not know anything. Allah, we think, and then we feel responsible for the child, and we are trying to, all that is bakwas nonsense. That child is probably older than you. That child was probably older than you. You probably played on the lap of that child when you were a child. That child probably gave a couple of smacks on your butt when you were a child. Now today you are returning the favor. That child probably cleaned up your mess. Today you are cleaning up the mess. Della cycle dane. If you but realize this and you look at your children in a different light, they are separate beings. I am not responsible for them. I can't be responsible for them. The whole equation changes. That awakening came to this Maharaja Chitraketu. And this is new. I had not thought about it in this manner. Instruct me further into this truth. I have had enough of this world. He surrendered. When Narada gave him some instruction, what those instructions are, we will see tomorrow. Sarvatra Govindanam Sankirtanam. Sarve bhavantu sukinaha, sarve santu niramaya, sarve bhadrani pashyantu ma kachid dukhabhag bhavet. Lokas samstas kino bhavantu, lokas samstas kino bhavantu, lokas samstas kino bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Shri Sai Ishwara Arpanamastu.